Right then, we're on the grid and ready to get the show on the road of Journeyman League Season 20B for the final time this season. We are here, we have made it to the season finale here in the US of A. We're here at Cota, Texas, the beautifully designed track by Guzzyman as per usual. Definitely one of the better track makers in UR2D, you could absolutely say, and we have a tasty one for you here today. Off track more than on, because we've not even had anything on track so far. Coming into this race, there's 4 drivers in the championship fight. Only 2 are on track today, and it is not Cola, who is currently leading the standings, and it's not Toaster, who is currently P2 in the standings, which means 3 or 4, which is Mika to Mika in P3, and then quite a bit further back Ricky in P4, are the 2 drivers in the fight for the championship. So 1 and 2 in the standings, unless we see them coming in maybe after qualifying. I know Cola won't. He is he's suffered a league race ban across all the leagues after incidents in Ultimate League in Bahrain. Toaster, I'm not 100% sure, so we may see him maybe entering the grid and starting last after this qualifying session, but if not, it is going to be a race to the line between P3 and P4, which is very unusual to see. What is even more unusual to see is the more likely of them two, Mika to Mika, is in his own right already a Journeyman League championship winner. Now, that is impossible, technically, because up until now, but this is a post recording, this is a post commentary, as Kalitka actually was pole on their second race, or provisional pole. As of before this race happened, because the rules have changed after this race happened, underneath Ultimate League, which is the F1 equivalent, F2, F3, F4, which is CL, JL, which we're here now, and AL, the championship winner at the end of the season gets banned from that league. That has changed after this race, but before now, Mika to Mika should have been banned. But he didn't really win the championship on track. It was a banner ult in the name of Sash, back in season 18A, I want to say. So Mika to Mika finished P2 that season in the championship. Sash finished P1 and then got banned, as he was found out to be an alt account of a previous driver under the name of Banana Boy, or otherwise known as Bana. So Mika to Mika has chance to make history today and become the first ever Journeyman League 2-time winner. We are here in season 20B, which means there has been 40 seasons of Journeyman League. Maybe not 40, but almost 40 seasons of Journeyman League, because I'm not sure, maybe any seasons had 10 races, but Mika to Mika can make history today. His election actually goes pole. Sorry, I've talked absolutely nothing about the racing so far, but Mika to Mika, it's going to be a tasty one. Election currently sits on top with a 41.18. That is a stomping time from the German, who has just actually won his AL championship in the previous race to this one. Kalitka currently in P2 in their second ever race, also won AL in their second ever race of that league too. So it's currently actually Rykar 1-2, which is very cool to see. Lexus on return in P3, believe covering for CPR in what will be their final race in Journeyman League. They have been here like as long as I've been in the leagues, as long as I've been commentating in Journeyman League, always at the top, and they're finally getting their promotion up into CAL. But up at the top for the final race this season is Election on pole. Well then, this is what everyone looks to at the start of the season, at the midpoint of the season. All the spectators, all the drivers and all commentators, we are here to the lights for the season finale and for the final time this season. No more delay, we are on our way. Rykar 1 and 2, Kalitka looks to the inside of Election. Election defends it well as we go into the S's. Lexus has lost a couple positions there, make that about 5 or 6 as he gets pushed into the gravel. He has been passed by a whole gaggle of cars, now finds himself in between the 2 Zipex drivers as Majundar takes the lead. Kalitka is down into about P5 there as the 2 Spartas take each other off the track as Dynaco fly 7 and 8 here. Peto making his grand return to the leagues. That is a different story in itself, but one we will not cover today. But all we need to know is he is back, and well, it would seem SDO Alex up in P11 having a squabble with Mason, who's had once again for I think every single race this season a terrible start to the race, as we're seeing Polak now P12 on what will be his final ever race in all the respective leagues. Gilprad losing 2 positions there. Mika sending himself up the inside of Peto and trying to make it Mason as well. He is only in P9. Ricky up in P4. As it stands, Mika would still be champion. However, it is very interesting to see Mika maybe struggling here, or maybe just getting pushed off the track, as Majundar and Election fly 1 and 2 by a decent margin, almost a second to Juan there. For a moment, Kalitka is leading a huge train of cars here between Ricky, Strudel and Mason, actually getting a couple positions after getting pushed off the track. Kalitka getting passed by Ricky. He's taking a long way round into the double left-hander. He can't make the move done. He can make the move as Kalitka goes into the gravel. Mason gets brake check and Mika Samika finds himself up in P5, taking off Mason and Kalitka, but he is up into P5, and it is the 2 title protagonists that currently fly 4th and 5th here in Kota. What a start to this race. Unfortunately, there will be a couple breaks as I break to breathe. There's no co-commentator here today, so you're just going to need to accept that. Strudel, currently P7. He was a very, very hyped driver. Got banned from his first Apprentice League race as Juan takes the lead. The Election hits the gravel, gets past by Mika, gets past by Ricky, gets past almost by Kalika there. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, Strudel. Very much a hype driver as he's trying to send himself down the inside of both Rykars there, and he makes him way up into P4. Maybe finally now will get to my point, as he's been passed by Election now. Strudel banned from Apprentice League after his first race, winning it by 13.5 seconds. Hasn't had quite the same impact on Journeyman League, however, it has definitely been a certainly much better talent in Journeyman League as we've seen in Apprentice League, as Mason gets brake checked once again. Peto and Ricky seem to be complaining about a PC. Maybe Mason as Kalitka goes off the track there. Majundar, Mika and Juan have a huge gap in the podium positions. Juan making a big mistake there. Never mind, it is Majundar and Mika then who have the gap out in front, and neither of those 2 drivers are prone to a mistake. Whether they've done 1, 10 or 1,000 laps of practice on the track, they will stay on the track untoward. Strudel off the track, they're being passed by Ricky, but already passed by Juan, gets passed by 3, Ricky, Election and Juan just a minute ago. Now under threat from Kalika and Mason maybe. Strudel backs out of that, doesn't want to make it too wide as Peto is asking, I believe, Mystic to swap positions with him. He's on the harder tyres, so definitely his tyres becoming in the better window here. Soft, I believe, only go 5 or 6 without sliding. Maybe anyone going for the undercut. Kalika look to it there, maybe a little fake. Majumdar actually pits, so he's the first to pit, going for a very, very early undercut to maybe try and extend his lead on Mika Polak, going slow on the straight there. Not too sure what that's about. And Peto up into P8 on the reverse strategy, as we're going to have Rain and Majumdar as just pit. Oh! Majumdar then down in P10, he is just pit for a new compound of mediums, so that could have huge implications there and almost gift Mika the win there as Ricky takes Mason off the track there. He's just dropping positions, very unfortunate. Mason is a hugely quick driver on his day, but just gets very unlucky at points as Election has the pit wall. Oh my god. Oh my god, he's driving backwards on the track. Not ideal. As Mason pits onto wets. Oh no. Oh Mason. That is a strategy right out of ZipX, that one. He's pit onto wets once we got the sun announcement. What is he playing at? Not a clue. But look at this train of cars from Kalitka in P8 all the way up to Majumdar in P1. No one separated by over a second. Peto now actually doing some defensive work from Majumdar and Mika there, as they've now been gifted a gap on the better tyres. Election and Peto have not pit. They'll be holding up this pack, which is going to just gift Mika and Maju mounds and mounds of time here. Juan making his way around the outside of Strudel, absolutely kamikaze Strudel and Election into the pit wall there as well. Kalitka, oh, some ghosting. Is Juan TPing a little bit? I'm not too sure what happened there, if that was server, Juan, or just the recorder. Not 100% sure. Can't do anything about it now. It's it's Tuesday. The race was a couple of days ago. Mika, fucking hell, this is terrible. Mika Samika, 2 seconds ahead with Majumdar in that pack from Peto, who's doing You would think Pesto was a Mika or Majumdar fan because he's gifted them about 2 seconds of a gap. Hold on. Hello, sorry about that. Beauty of post-race editing when the race is being post-recorded. I got a scam call there asking about a broken window on a property that I own, nor do I own the property or have a broken window. But anyway, back to the race, and Mika to Mika and Majumdar almost too wide there through the S's. That is not a place where you want to be going too wide. Majumdar sends it up the inside, backside of that one. Happy to stay in the slipstream of the soft tyre runner of Mika for now. Those softs are going to wear out very badly towards the end of the race. As Juan, Peto and Kalitka are all 3 wide there. That is lag rocket waiting to happen as Ricky has actually cut off a bunch of time there. Almost within the slip of Kalitka and Peto. Peto doing a very good job there to do so. Oh, and almost drags his teammate into the pits. But yeah, the top 6 now will all have to pit again. Peto and Eluxion won't. Neither will Lexus. So this could be an interesting fight there as Polak finds himself in the gravel. Lexus out in P10, Galeprad P11, Alex P12, Axis also on the hard tyres as per usual, and Mystic actually, I should comment, he was up in the top 10 for a decent majority of this race and was looking very good, but I was actually in the VC with him. I got home from work about now, and his antivirus reminded him to repay a subscription, or said like he needed to get an antivirus protection program, and it tabbed him out of the game for about 10 seconds into the gravel trap, as you're about to see there. He was in that wall. Exciting stuff, I'm sure, and something that he will not be all too happy about to end the season with. Not failing from himself or any other drivers, just an antivirus. Clearly UR2D is not eating up all the good gems on his PCs. Mika's actually got a 1.5 second gap there. Oh, not too sure why we've not seen any of that as Ricky Boy gets absolutely torpedoed into the wall and then the gravel there by Juan and Strudo. Not ideal there. But yeah, Mika, almost a 2 second gap out in the lead of this race. Majumdar has a decent gap over P3, Kalitka and Strudo, who still, for the majority of this race, have had clean battles there as Lexus gets pushed off the track by Polak on the alternate strategy. We've never seen Polak give way to a driver on the better strategy, but it's JL, you don't expect it, do you, as he gets passed by Eluxion there. I'm hearing some Polish Rykar bias as Eluxion actually TPs a little bit there. Oh, lovely little move there from Lexus, switching it back on Polak in his final race. Gilfred actually doing a decent job to catch up a little bit of time there to Polak. STO Alex is closing in on him though, with Eluxion, Peto, Ricky diving into the pits there. Mika to Mika will come out in P3, Majumdar P4, maybe P5 then, just behind Juan as Strudo and Kalitka are going at it for currently P1 but provisional P4, P3 maybe. No more rain in sight for now, however that can change as Kalitka and Strudo are still fighting. If they wanted any chance of a good overcut, they would have needed to stop fighting and just slip each other, but Mika to Mika is here, so their shot at any chance at the race win is just about over. Mika still maintaining a very solid 2 second gap over Majumdar. Strudo goes wide. He's in the slipstream now. Is Mika. The worst thing that could happen here is Mika gets dragged into the pits, but all goes well there. Clouds actually come out. We could see a little bit of rain, which would be interesting. Terrible for Kalitka, Strudo and Juan if that was to occur. Yep, Kalitka and Strudo coming out in P3 and P4 then, so the fight is on for the podium. We could see Peto and Ricky maybe joining that fight. Peto wants to lead his teammate on the worst tyres. I'm sure Papaya Rose might get brought into effect sooner rather than later as Kalitka makes a mistake. Strudo now has almost a 1 second gap there in P3, making it a 2-3 for the Williams team on their way to another constructor win. Obviously an incredible team in the mobile leagues as Axis has been told to switch with his ESM teammate Polak. That's one way to do it, I suppose. They are now on the hunt for P10 in SDL. Alex driving for Archon, in which will also be their final race in JL. So that's CPR and Archon, two of the longest, if not, I do believe CPR and Archon, so Carthapian Speak and Archon Racing, are the two longest serving current JL teams, and they're both finding their way up into CL next season, which is very cool to see. Archon replacing Edge Motorsport, which was formerly Heritage Motorsport, and CPR, I believe, just getting promoted with the forced removal of Bobcat from the leagues, which does seal that, as Mika Tamika once again is getting caught just a little bit by Majumdar, however nothing to write home about. Actually, maybe a bit, because that gap's coming down substantially, you know. That's been about a second in the last couple laps. Could have a little fight to the end here, but Ricky P5, it would have needed basically a DNF from Mika and a win from Ricky for Ricky to have a shot at the championship, and that has not came into play this season. Ricky obviously still had a very, very good season. Very competent driver is Ricky, and definitely improved a hell of a lot over the last couple seasons here, winning AL of course last season, but it's not going to be enough for JL this season. Will it be enough for JL next season? Wait and see, because there is some potential unbans coming from JL. If not unbans, I believe Mika will be remaining in the league, as well as people like Toaster. Cola will be banned for the league after winning a race by like 10.5 seconds. But yeah, next season definitely one to watch. Gilprad on the hunt for Axis. If Gilprad can catch and pass Axis, that's a 2-second gap. That would have Zipex in P6 in the Constructors over British Rapid Racing and ESM. If not, ESM would get P6, and I believe BRR might actually pip Zipex to P7 even. So there is big fights going on in the Constructors, as well as Mason can only seem to manage a fight for P13 here, which is, yeah, that's not where he would want, deserves, or needs to be. As a driver of his quality, as Axis makes a huge mistake. So Gilfred is on the hunt there. He's within a second now. Actually, he's within Slipstream now. We're not getting to see the battle because I'm not the one hosting this, unfortunately, or even was there at the time. But Gilfred and Axis, watch that battle there on the left hand side of your screen, because that could have huge implications for the bottom standings of the Constructors Championship. Ricky desperately trying to get past Juan here for P5. Kalitka and Strudel have separated. Strudel has caught Majumdar, and Majumdar has been gapped by Mika. Mika to Mika coming around the final section of the S's here, and it has been an incredible race from the Ethiopian driver, currently residing in the USA, so sort of a home VP. As we come round the final few hairpins, it's going to be a Williams 2-3, but Mika to Mika, the man from Ethiopia, is going to come round the double right-hander into the double left-hander. He's going to cross the final corner. Can we please watch him come round the final corner? We're not going to, but we'll see him cross the line to make history. Mika to Mika is now Mika 2 championships here in Journeyman League. He is your season 20B champion of the world. Majumdar and Strudel make it 2 and 3, making it a Williams Constructor win, and then Kalitka, second race in the leagues, P4, Juan P5. Look at this fight here. Gilprad too wide with Mason, gets pushed wide. Axis, where will he go? He tries to look down the inside. Gilprad makes a mistake. Gilprad has the position there. Mason, he's slowing down to give Gilprad back the position. That's Zipex P6 in the Constructors, just about beating ESM. Huge championships fights there. There is going to be Mika to Mika winning his second championship in P1 position, followed by Majumdar and Strudel 2-3-4 Williams. And then the best of the rest. My god, post-race editing coming in clutch here. But Kalitka is going to be P4, Juan P5, Ricky P6, Eluxion P7, Peto P8, Lexus P9, and Polak getting the final position in the top 10 on his final race. Then it is going to be Gilprad, Axis, Mason, SCL, Alex, Mystic rounding out the grid for the final race here in JL Season 20. Join us next season for hopefully another one as exciting as this one, because it has been pretty insane. I'm not going to lie. 2-time champion Mika to Mika. Absolutely insane. Ricky very close at the end, and the two main title protagonists not even making the final race. Bring on next season. For the final time in season 20B. Oh my god, this is absolutely terrible, but I've done this like 6 times, so this is it. This is what you're getting left with. For the final time in season 20B, we will see you all later. Adios.